Jeffrey Epstein's case is not best understood as a single scandal, but as a layered failure system. At the center is a verified pattern of sexual abuse and trafficking involving minors and young women, documented in criminal charging instruments, victim litigation, sworn testimony, and the later conviction of Ghislaine Maxwell. Around that core sits an institutional belt, prosecutable leniency, jail special treatment, banking compliancy failures, and delayed media seriousness. Around that belt sits a much noisier outer ring of speculation, in which real structural anomalies have often been repackaged into claims that outrun evidence.
Oh, yeah.
My fellow Americans.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
A man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
He says, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that.
Hello and welcome to As the World Burns. This is our guest, the Spirit Detective. He is going to be one of our new guests, and this is awesome. He's going to go over the life of Jeffrey Epstein. That, I think, was pretty articulate and accurate to what's kind of happened with, like, the scandal of Jeffrey Epstein and shit, too. Honestly, that kind of nailed it.
Yeah, I try to get it as congested as I could in as little sense as possible, so I can kind of figure out how I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, that nailed his entire the whole deal, the news not talking about him, his life of secrecy, basically. Yeah, this is gonna be a good episode for everybody. He's a new guest, and he's got a lot to talk about with Jeffrey Epstein, and that's pretty awesome.
Can I ask real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think he's alive?
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
No doubt in my mind that he's alive. Yep. Now, I don't believe he's Palm Beach Pete.
No, I don't. I agree.
I think that's just double. A dude. What'd you say?
I think that's a canned double that he also has. Palm Beach Pete could have been some guy that died, so his cadaver could have been in prison, but it just so happened to be another one of the doubles.
If I'm going to be honest, I really just see him as a dude who's taking advantage of the wave.
Yeah, well, because he actually does, he has met Jeffrey Epstein, and he does look a lot like Jeffrey Epstein.
See, that's the stuff that's weird, because I have seen stuff like that. I've seen the weird evidence about it, where you see the pictures, where in the background of one of his pictures, he's taken in the background, of his photo, you can see Jeffrey Epstein's house, the corner of it, or
the plane too.
The plane one, yep, yes, exactly.
Let me.
I don't think
something.
Jeffrey Epstein's in this country anymore.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Let me ask you though, and this is kind of off topic but on topic. But what are your thoughts in general on cloning?
So I personally think it's been around for a really long time. I'm of the mindset that we don't get technology until it's 50 years out, at least.
Yep.
So I think obviously there's layers to the world, right? Layers is in your access to things, right? Now, when you're at the lower layers like us, when you need a liver transplant, you're waiting on an actual liver to be donated from some reason, right?
Yep.
You're on a list with thousands of other people who are waiting for the same thing. Yet somehow, right, on the other layer, you never hear about, you never see all the ultra wealthy people who need any type of transplant ever having to wait. You don't hear about it at all. Because if you heard about it, you think about it. So I'm of the mindset of you have two different levels of access. And in the upper level of access, I think certain stuff is available, cloned organs. I think China especially is the ones that are specifically operating it. But I think India is starting to pop one up right now. One of the big things that I think people are getting wrong about the conspiracies, a lot of people like to talk about the baby factories. I don't think those are real. I think the baby factories, quote unquote, are cloning factories.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's happening is it's just simple technology being used. It's a dude who's the Fortune 200 from a Fortune 200 company, who's a CEO, is about to die. His heart's gonna give out. The guy from China comes by. He's like, "Hey, we have this tech It's going to cost you $100 million over the course of 2 or 3 years. Who cares? But you get to survive. Because they also have access to better medicine. They also have access to better doctors, better surgeons. I think it's inevitability that we're going to have cloning simply just by looking out at how the technology we have today.
Yeah, we
Well,
had it publicly like in the 70s and 80s, but yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
Antios.
I always said that they pretty much perfected it in the 70s. They just told us that they're never doing it ever again. We worked on it. We can perfectly clone this animal. Don't worry, guys. We're never going to do this again.
Are you talking about Dolly, the sheep?
Yeah.
Yes. See, that's what I'm talking about with the 50-year gap. See, I think they probably had it already perfected in the 20s.
Yeah.
Oh
And
shit.
then they only told us about it in the 70s.
But even then, like, we still haven't really had access to it. They were like, this is possible, just so you guys know. And then, like, the world was wondering, like, well, what are we going to use that for? And we just nothing.
And that's the weird thing, right?
Nothing for another 50 years.
They really think we believe. I don't know if it's that they really think we believe that, or if it's that they, how do I say it? They don't even care enough to try anymore. So they're not even going to attempt to put a good excuse up front. Do you get what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
See, two really grand conspiracy theories in my head. One I called the stage, which the joke is that the world is a stage, right? Where everything literally is a stage, right? Nothing that we see on television matters from political perspectives in any way, shape, or form. To the capacity that like every single politician is actually just an actor or something akin to that, like a political actor almost, just for that role. Where like the show or the entertainment that we're watching, quote unquote, is a bunch of politicians acting out being a politician when the real stuff is happening behind the scenes with the
Money
people who-
It's
interest.
kind of like how
Exactly.
in Fallout, specifically the TV show, how the management, spoiler alert for Fallout, the management exist and they have like this deeper understanding of everything and deeper level of control over everything that they hide from the common vault dwellers. So they come on in and they're treated like they're just one of the other people that have been stuck in there for so long. But really, like, and they kind of get elected. Like, it seemed like, oh, weird. Like, it's always one of them that gets elected into power. But it's because it's been set up that way the whole time. They're supposed to be in power because they are in the know. It was never going to be the other person. They're not even a real
Yes.
person. They're just trained
Yes.
to, like, pretend to be one of us.
Yes. I you are so dead on the money, you don't even understand. Like there I don't believe this theory fully, but I speculate on it because
They're
like
company men.
yeah, there's times that it seems like it's like that. Like that they're how do I say it? No, go ahead. Like I feel like you understand it better. Like
Well, because I kind of I don't know exactly where my beliefs fall on this matter. Like I think it's very possible that the company the so-called company that these company men work for could just be some weird familial mafia, like ancient pre-ancient mafia. I don't know.
yes. And the thing
It's
is,
all
it sounds
like
crazy
ancient
to say.
bloodlines, royalty mixed with mafia.
And we're just using, and the thing is, right? The reason why it sounds crazy is because we don't have a word for what it is anymore yet. Not anymore. We don't have
Yeah.
a word for what it is yet. So we're using the words that we have to try to best describe it, and the words that we're using they're just not connecting correctly. So it makes it sound crazy. Because when you say all that together, it does sound like a crazy thing to think. But when you say it as like a family dynasty has used strict breeding rules, financial rules, familial rules to ensure that their wealth and their influence carries out for as long as possible, that doesn't sound crazy.
No.
Now, let me ask, who do you think this group would be? Like the Freemasons, like the Vatican, shit like that? Like, where do you think this would stem to?
Here's the
Or would it
thing,
be beyond that?
I think it's all of them. I think we're
Yep.
thinking too narrowly. I think a lot of people like to do this idea of like everything's connected, and this is where I fall on. This is my other mindset of conspiracy, and this is where I'm more aligned more with. I believe there are hundreds of shadow networks all interplaying together by accident, simply because over the course of hundreds of years, they developed, they grew power, and then eventually they butted heads. And they couldn't get rid of each other, just like certain countries can't get rid of each other, just like certain companies can't get rid of each other. So it's almost like the joke is as above, so below.
Mhm.
So even if they are the shadow government, why wouldn't there be a bunch of shadow governments fighting each other?
I agree.
That actually, go ahead. No, wait. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna continue that thought, but I also want to know where you think Jeffrey Epstein fits into this whole thing.
That's hilarious. That's actually what I was about to say. Great minds think alike, man.
Hell yeah.
So my idea is that Jeffrey Epstein was simply a player in a game that accidentally got caught. And the analogy that I would use is Jeffrey Epstein was the CEO of Coca-Cola, or sorry, Nestle, I guess. And it was just discovered that they're using child labor, right, for everything that they make.
That's funny.
But even though Nestle provides all, is like that giant company, it's not the only one in that industry.
Yeah. You got like
And
P. Diddy and shit.
Exactly. A lot of people, I think, are finally starting to realize that they were different. They were the same yet different, right? In the movie industry, you had the Harvey Weinstein. Everyone knew, but no one talked about it. But everyone talked about it. And then you had, in the music industry, you had Diddy. Everyone knew, but no one talked about it, but everyone talked about it. And then in the scientific and political parties, you had Jeffrey Epstein. Everyone knew, but no one talked about it, but everyone talked about it. And just, you had just levels of evil to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Diddy probably wasn't trafficking children, but he definitely was doing some crazy shit.
I think he might have been trafficking children.
I don't know if I've seen enough evidence to believe that, but I could be persuaded to it if I saw enough evidence. I'm not. To be honest, I probably would fall more to that side if I was going to be more completely honest about it.
Because I feel like when he took a temporary guardianship over Justin Bieber, and the assumption in what he himself was hinting at on camera multiple times is
Okay,
that
I see
like
where you're
he
coming
gave
from.
him this crazy sexual adventure, right? And that's like one way to view it. But you
Let
gotta
me
also
see.
understand that this is hold on, this Justin Bieber himself was also extremely popular and famous to the point where I would only assume that P. Diddy was also leveraging Justin Bieber in those moments with other people that were also involved in those sexual acts. Be like, yeah, I can get you an hour with Justin Bieber. Yeah, Justin's actually gonna be at my place if you want to come through. Like
didn't
it's
even
kind of
think
like a
about that.
power.
Yeah.
It's like
power
a
thing.
power trade, or like
Let me separate that. My
it's.
bad.
I think that's another way to traffic somebody is to like use them like that.
I do believe he was having sex with children himself, like whatchamacallit, like Justin Bieber. I just don't think he was trafficking him to other people.
That's the official government opinion
I
on
just feel like,
Jeffrey Epstein.
but
That
the
is.
opposite you're saying, where
No,
he
their official statement is that Jeffrey Epstein was like
really, yeah, that is a good
trafficking
point.
only
Yeah.
for himself.
Yeah. That's true. With Diddy, it's actually true.
Well, I don't know.
No. Now that he said that to me, honestly, I'm rethinking my entire statement on it. Because it's almost like a rule. Now I'm trying to make an exception to a rule at this point.
P Diddy like went into prison and he's a child abuser and like a woman abuser. You'd think he'd get like fucked up in prison, but he's immediately protected. He's like living his life out. Like he's gonna be comfy there. He probably has many connections and promises he's making.
Mm-hmm.
And like these are not good people. He could easily just be like we don't know the extent of the deals that he was making. Because his whole image was being a sex freak.
Yeah. The freak offs were famous.
He could have been setting up some weird shit, man. His parties were all pretty much orgies. Like he could have been.
No,
Think
yeah,
of all the young stars
you
that could have been
completely flipped me
involved.
on it. Yeah, I'm really thinking about it now. At the parties, it would be the same thing as a Jeffrey Epstein party,
It'd
except
be like, listen, I'll like, hey, you want to come to my parties? Like that's one thing he gets. Like you got to make a deal with me. And going to one of P Diddy's parties is like going to Jeffrey Epstein's parties, where it's like, yeah, it's gonna be some wild shit. There's gonna be tons of Hollywood actresses and models. The unspoken understanding being that many of them are super young.
so. Then I guess I would change it then and say that Jeffrey Epstein is equal to Diddy, and Harvey Weinstein wouldn't even fit into the equation then. Because
I
Harvey
feel like the
Weinstein
difference
definitely
between
wasn't.
them is like a power brat. Like Jeffrey Epstein was doing on a much grander scale, on a much grander level of power and wealth. There, it's like you were saying, as above, so below. Like it was just like P Diddy's like the same thing on a lower level.
Mm.
He's a microcosm of what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein and beyond Jeffrey Epstein. It's not just Jeffrey Epstein. There's probably
100%.
like 20 rich people just like Jeffrey Epstein that do this same exact thing
Yes.
It's
all across the world.
it's funny in hindsight that it seems like Harvey Weinstein was like kind of like the Lee Harvey Oswald of the whole gang, because they were throwing him in as like almost like basically like he did some shit, but it didn't extend to anybody else famous other than his victims. So it was easier to take him down. But like when it came to like Jeffrey Epstein and P Diddy, because it involved like other famous people and they weren't victims, they were co-conspirators or clients, then I feel like they kind of pushed it along a little bit more, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like
Do
Harvey
you mean
Weinstein was like easy to take down. Like nobody like gave a shit about him in the moment.
like he was the red, not the red herring, but he was an easy target,
Yeah,
and they thought
exactly.
that it
Like a
was a
Just
target
patsy.
that
Hollywood producer.
Like a
wouldn't produce a
patsy.
big splash.
Exactly.
To be
That's
honest with you,
exactly.
I can believe that because I believe I personally believe that each of these shadow governments have fucked up a number of times in history, and that's the only reason why we're at the level that we're at. We're almost at the ability to really take them, find out who they are, and either take them out, work with them, whatever's gonna
Dude,
happen.
let me just say it like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? The will of D is going to keep popping back up,
The will of
and it's
D.
going to keep causing great change and shaking the world up.
I do think it's funny that One Piece and the flag of One Piece, of the Going Merry and the Thousand Sunny, and just the like everything about um like just One Piece in general. I think it's funny that all of that is being used in various rebellions around the world. Like a lot of
Yeah.
rebellions are using the flag to represent like, hey, we are like we're like I think it's incredible. We are the freedom fighters. We're looking for freedom. It's such an
That's
interesting
cool.
concept and time that we're living in, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
If Otis sticks
Cup.
the landing on this ending, then there's going to be religions and like just whole groups that worship him
I personally
many years
believe
from
this is a
now.
Shakespearean tale. Like this, I
Yeah.
believe that there's not going to be another story like this for at least another 100 years. I think this is going to be studied in like college courses eventually. Like I
That's
think
dope.
I think people underestimate. I think people underestimate how powerful this One Piece is as a story because of the fact that Toei is the one that's animating it and handling it.
Yeah.
I believe that Toei at the beginning was handed One Piece and didn't understand what they were being handed. And so they thought it was this silly pirate show, and so that's how they animated it.
I mean, honestly, the early seasons, besides the filler, I would stand by that. Like, I think they kind of nailed that, in my opinion.
They weren't bad. I'm not saying they were bad. I'm just saying that the way that they animated it, the way that they voiced everything, they didn't take it as seriously as they do now. And I don't mean serious
Yeah, it
as in
should have
like
had like a
flashy and
grand
stuff
build
like
up,
that.
like Attack on Titan.
Exactly. You should feel like you're going on a grand adventure. And the only reason why the people that followed along felt that is because they understood just based off the writing itself that there was going to be that. But a lot of people were left behind because of the visuals and the voice. And that's what I think. And then I think over time it got so good that people were like, "Oh, I have to do it."
Do you think that our world is hiding a grand adventure just like One Piece?
100%. 100%.
I could not agree more.
There's too many coincidences of certain things. And again, whether it's one or the other, whether it's the idea that like the world is all ruled by one fucking group or it's a bunch of groups around the world, There's a reason why they're ruling the world. They're doing stuff. They're doing something. I found it funny that XQC said there's nothing to do late game, but I feel like that's because actual late game is where you're exploring the world and figuring out what the world is actually about. Because like we know nothing about what actually goes on after we die, really, right? We know
Yeah.
nothing about what actually happens in the world itself. We don't even understand gravity. That's like a basis of our understanding of science, and we don't even understand gravity.
How do you say it? I would love. This probably exists, and it kind of does with Yu Yu Hakusho and like Bleach, but and obviously like Dragon Ball Z, but going into the afterlife being the start of this like grand shonen adventure. Like how many shonen manga start like that? And I don't mean like isekai. I mean like truly like how you know how like Yusuke dies, but he comes back, and that's different. More like, and same with Bleach. He's kind of like half dead because he dies and then like comes back, and now he's like whatever the fuck he is. Are there any manga that explores life after death as a grand adventure?
I guess I would say Soul King, right? It's am I saying that right? I haven't
Soul
remembered
King.
that. I haven't seen that in forever.
Shaman King?
Shaman King. That might be it. Yes, I think this explores death really well. Oh, not well. I think it explores it as like a concept in the way that you're kind of describing, where like it's a grand adventure after death. But you're
Yeah, like
not the.
imagine if Yusuke never got his body back, and it was just about him as a soul doing all the same stuff, but he's just a soul, and he's like dealing with other realms and different rings of hell and other demons. Same shit happens, but it's just
That'd be
he's dead the
cool.
whole time.
Hmm.
And there's cities of people in this next level. Like it's just it's the afterlife. It's like beyond. It's like the next thing.
Or you're actually exploring the afterlife. You're saying.
Yeah, like
Like a
what
Dante's
civilization
Inferno.
exists in the afterlife?
No, I
What kind
don't.
of conflicts exist in the afterlife?
To my memory, I don't remember one. But also, there might be one I've just never thought of, or read, or even seen.
I feel like that's more like I think maybe Yu Yu Hakusho covers it best. Maybe Bleach too. I think those are the closest things I can think of.
They could just make a Dante's Inferno anime.
Oh yeah, I think they kind of did.
I like the Dante's Inferno anime. No, that's not what I'm saying. I like the what is it? The what is it called? I can't remember the name. Dante was one of the characters. It was by
The
Devil May Cry?
Netflix. Devil May Cry, that's what it was. My bad, that's what I meant to say. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't
I
seen
watched
that
all
either.
Castlevania from the same guys.
Beautiful as well. I think they should be the ones that handle making a
Do you
Dante's
think Jeffrey
Inferno.
Epstein is a good parallel to Dracula?
That's a good one.
I'm gonna have to ask in one way before I answer.
In like secrecy, power, abuse, the way he used
Seduction.
people.
Do you mean Dracula as in the vampire, or Dracula as in the man who had a myth placed on him?
Dracula the vampire?
Then no.
No, interesting.
I would say the other way. Definitely like the man Vlad the Impaler who was already evil and has more evil thrown on him. Because the whole thing I think is I think Jeffrey Epstein did a lot of crazy bad shit. I think he ran an entire company of just sex trafficking children to people who were looking for that type of stuff. I do believe he was recording that type of information. I don't know if he worked for an agency. It makes the most sense. He was friends with people who were agents. He hung out with people who were agents. He wore clothes of the stuff that monikered him as an agent. He was filmed in meetings with people that are agents inside of headquarters that are for intelligence. A lot of people like to say that like those are just like coincidences, but like one of my favorite lines from Asmongold is you can have a lot of points on a graph, eventually it's gonna be a line.
That's
Like
a good one.
eventually. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's possible that like this image of him as a spy I forgot what, maybe it was in one of the emails or as a quote from somebody, pretty much saying that Epstein didn't work for Israel, but Israel worked for Epstein.
Yes, you're talking about Alex. Here, I have it written down here. Hold on.
Oh, I also want to say real quick, I feel like Epstein was very comparable to like a modern day Elizabeth Bathory, even though he was a dude.
You're gonna have to
Who?
explain who she is. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Bathory was this like royal chick who used to have royal subjects kidnap like women and like virgins like throughout like the kingdom, and then she would like basically have them like get cut open, and then she'd bathe in their blood and like
Oh, I've
sometimes
heard of her.
rape them. Yeah, she was known as like a witch.
Yeah. Imagine somebody like that, right? And they have all the same interests. They have all the same interests as Elizabeth Bathory and Jeffrey Epstein, but also mix in Aleister Crowley.
Yeah,
Like that's what's going on. That's the overall vibe of this whole awful blood-soaked web.
that's the overall vibe.
Now here's the question. Well, here's a double question. With all the stuff that they're doing, right? Because there's definitely stuff that's happening, like child sacrifice and rituals to try to do magic and stuff like that. That's definitely happening because as long as we can imagine it, the people who are at the top will definitely try it. Simply because the people at the top who are at the very top who've been there, there are definitely some evil people there.
Yeah.
You go to the right corners of the world, there's a lot of evil people.
Just statistically,
Exactly.
out of all the billionaires of the world, if you take like 20 people from a random street and then 20 billionaires, the guy probably have a similar ratio of one of them being a complete piece of shit.
Exactly. That's my point. It's just numbers. Exactly. Right. And to the questions I was going to ask is, so it happens, right? Is it working or not? And does it matter if it's not working?
I think it's different because, like I was saying before, like the fact of him seeming like an agent, but I think it's possible that that's just a cover. And I've said this many times on the podcast before that he could be like some weird prince, this like secret dark prince.
Secret bloodline.
Yeah, like he could be this person who's got like innate authority, kind of like a fucking celestial dragon.
Yeah, Norwegian princess wanted to have Jeffrey Epstein's kids. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That leads
like
you
a
more
celestial
towards the
dragon
idea.
coming down, abusing a poor village that's never even heard of the concept of a celestial dragon, and then the local authority, the nearest Marines that show up, have to just turn a blind eye to it. They're like, "What the fuck's going on? Like, why didn't we get any justice for this?" Because like there's a hierarchy.
And we're at the
And there's
lower end
people
of
at the very top of it, we're not even allowed to know about it.
Yeah.
So I think that it's very possible that it's not just one bad person statistically out of a certain group, because I think there is a vile tree of sin spreading through our history, stemming from like one place, one like
It's a
group.
good way to say it.
If you imagine the world as a video game, right? Imagine the world as, let's say, an MMORPG. 6 billion players, now 7 billion or 8 billion. Let's say 8 billion players. Every single one of them is different. At a certain point, there's going to be stats that line up that just make them a piece of shit.
It's a lot of trolls.
Exactly. I think a lot of people never think about, but I think the show Sherlock really pointed it out well to me, and that's why I've always thought about this ever since. It's the idea that we keep thinking that dangerous criminals are poor. Dangerous as in violent, right? Sherlock put forward the idea of like a rich and hidden serial killer. A serial killer who was had so much money that they could hide in plain sight and kill without people knowing.
H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's already happened. Exactly. That's exactly it. So who's to say it's not happening again?
Yeah, no, definitely.
We could find out. I could look up a random celebrity of we could find out tomorrow that Kai Cenat has actually been kidnapping people and then putting them in a maze and then murdering them. No, I'm. It's funny, but I'm being serious because like that sounds crazy, but that's how crazy it sounded to the people of H.H. Holmes' time when they opened their newspaper and they read millionaire H.H. Holmes' house is a death
Murder
trap
hotel.
to kill. Like,
Murder
think
Mansion.
about how crazy that is.
That is crazy.
And you know what's crazier? There were probably people before that came out. They were talking about it, walking around talking about how every once in a while I'll pass by Mr. Holmes' house, and I swear it sounds like somebody screaming, but it's too low, right? Or there was this time that he came out with all these bags that looked just a little bit too heavy and it smelled just a little bit too weird. But Mr. Holmes is rich and he's very kind, so why would I think anything other than that?
He's
Like,
very generous.
exactly.
Yeah, he was.
Monsters that hide in plain sight because they have the money to hide in plain sight. Because a lot of people forget that if the world is a video game, then money is an attribute or a stat. The amount of money you have, it absolutely affects. I know everyone knows it affects everything, but a lot of people don't understand how encompassing everything is when you say that to yourself.
Yeah, sometimes you go into life with like low stats on like a charisma or like douchey scale, but high stats in the money scale.
Exactly. And just because you have money, now you can buy even better weapons and armor, and you can level up through that way.
I would love
Exactly.
to play a session of D&D where my character is secretly a billionaire, if not richer, from like this grand ancient dragon lineage. I just have infinite coin. Like they just let me do that. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Give me like the worst stats, like that. Make that the trade off. I have like no stats. If I have like infinite
You just
coin,
buy
I can buy
everything.
whatever I want.
What's crazy, there's probably some billionaire's child out there right now who has those exact stats.
Yeah, that's the life of someone.
That's the
They
life
go to
of
school.
someone.
They go to like some normal school and they get like upset, so they literally like just pay to change things at school. I'm like, no, I actually just don't want to have to actually be there.
Just give me all
I'm
A's.
from now on, this school's 2 days a week.
School's 2 days a week. Oh man, yeah, that is crazy. I never thought of Jeffrey Epstein as being like H.H. Holmes, but the shoe fits.
Again, another saying attached to as above, so below to remember throughout the theme of everything we're talking about today is also that history repeats itself.
Oh yeah,
And one of
Big
the
time.
themes is that society figures out that there are monsters hidden in plain sight. Happens all the time.
it's like George Lucas said. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
I love that quote. I
Me
know
too.
people hate him for
Dude, we love George Lucas.
We do.
I think the times that we're in right now wholeheartedly prove that George Lucas's first the pre-trilogy actually were pretty fucking good. Like,
Oh yeah,
people were complaining about the fact that everything was started because of trade routes.
it was all political, but that's what worked because he had his ear to what was going on.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly what's causing World War III.
Yeah.
That's literally that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, this dude wrote such a good story that we're living a version of it right now, and nobody's looking back and going, "Damn, that Lucas guy actually kind of had it going."
Wait, so who's the? Hold on. Who are the separatists?
Who are the separatists?
Is that the
Who would I say? All right,
Emirades?
hold on. If I'm gonna place everybody starting from let's say episode 1, let's say that's where we're at right now. I would say,
Who's Qui-Gon Jinn? Who are the separatists? Who's Count Dooku?
Who's the
Who's
Jedi?
Yoda?
Who's the Sith?
damn. Hold on. Now this is a way to think about this. Hold on.
Who's Mace Windu?
Okay, I believe. Let's start here. I believe America is 100% the Republic.
Okay, because
Yeah.
the Freemasons.
I would say more just because of the way it's structured.
I think the
Thematically.
Freemasons would be the Jedi Order.
That is a good call.
Because if you think
Because
about
the Freemasons exist outside of the Republic, or within it at the same time. You know what I mean?
like they're a tool that uses the Republic and is used by the Republic, depending on who's in charge of
Like
which
if
organization.
Exactly.
the Republic fell, the Jedi Order would still live on.
And they would rebuild another
They
Republic
would
or help
rebuild in
another
a different
Republic.
country.
I guess that's
who-
another good point to it. But I was more saying because of the idea of not crumbling democracy, but the idea of it and the implications of a society that acts on that idea. Do you get what I mean?
Say that again.
So all right. I think America is the republic based off the idea that in the movies, the republic is crumbling. It is actually crumbling. And the citizens are reacting to that idea. They can see and they can feel it, and so they're becoming more dangerous. Crime is being like happening more often. Just more evil is happening more. There's more and more in the streets. There's a lot of more civil unrest going on, simply because like the people of the world know, of the worlds know
The
that
dark side is boiling up.
exactly. Now, I believe that the a lot of people think that that's what's happening to America. I don't think that. But it doesn't matter if that's it doesn't matter if that's what's happening to America or not. What matters is the fact that the people who think that. Because they think that, what are they going to do to react to it? Like,
They're gonna
how are
lash
they going
out.
to react? Exactly. A lot of people don't want to talk about everyone's been doing evil shit. In the last couple of years though, I keep seeing some crazy people doing shit that I keep seeing get justified, and I'm like, no, you can't justify that, because when you justify it on your side, the other side's gonna do it, and you do not know how far the other side's gonna take it.
Yeah.
Like the people that were burning down Teslas and stuff like that, and like pulling over like moms in fucking vehicles on the highways in Teslas to like tell them to sell them. That's crazy to do, and
Yeah.
people were applauding it. And by applauding it, they're showing that like it should be replicated, it should be endorsed, it should happen again and again and again, and it shouldn't.
Yeah, one day someone's gonna rip you out of your car because you're driving a car, and they're gonna be like, "Why do you have a car, asshole?"
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
crazy to think about, and people
We
don't think
walk
about the
around
outward
here. The
implications.
government doesn't want us driving that far.
Imagine if an Amish person did that to you, simply because of the fact that every
I fuck them up.
I'm only saying Amish because I'm saying like they have such a radically different ideology of how we live. And imagine if like that type of person came up to you and tried to enforce their life on. That's how crazy it is. That's how crazy that is. But people
Or-
are endorsing it.
We get to a point like where you go into the supermarket and your like car is like got like a missed ticket or some shit like that. You come out and like some AI robot has disassembled like all your tires and shit.
Even worse. You're missing inspection, so it just takes your car, brings it back to the lot, and you have to pay for the fee to bring it back, and you have to pay for the fee to get it inspected.
Well, that happens, anyways. But like, imagine if they just completely handicapped you, just like took your shit. They're like, oh, we're gonna sell it off for parts. They're like, the government needs parts because there's a war going on.
See, things like that I would hope never would happen from the government's perspective or from the government's hands, but I could 100% see it happening from a company's hands, because a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
people don't understand that companies are extensions of the government sometimes.
like repo men.
Exactly. I think repo men are a crazy scam. If someone were to come up to me and they were to tell me, hey, it turns out that all repo companies work for the government. They look for people who have low bank account balances and are struggling. They find their cars and they find any reason to tow them just so that they can charge them an extra fee that they don't have right on the spot. I would sit there and I go, yeah, I believe it. It happens too often.
Yeah. Well, what about when we get like I thought of that when you were saying that too. I thought of that movie. I watched this a long time ago. It was the opera movie where they lease out organs, and then if the people don't pay, they basically send hitmen or like repo men out to like collect the organs from the people that got like the donored organs. It's like
I've
a
never heard of
dystopic
this.
future. It's a
That sounds
crazy
amazing.
movie. It's wild. It seems it's kind of like got a Crank vibe a little bit, if that makes sense, but it's an opera.
I've never seen an opera, to be honest with you. Unless Les Miserables is not an opera, right? That's just like a stage play. That's
I
a
think
musical.
that's. I
That's
was
a
gonna
musical.
say, I would say it's called it's called an opera, but I guess you could just say it's like a musical too.
What's the difference?
I don't know. It's because it's a movie, but they call it in like the subtitle like a something opera, like a rock opera or some shit.
Gotcha. Kind of like what is it called? Black Swan, the movie, is a movie, but when it starts, it calls it like the ballet of Black Swan or something like that.
Yeah. Isn't
I
it
get
like
what you're
because it's
saying. Yeah,
based on like that like story, right?
gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I think it. Yeah, and I think it's even based on something like that too, originally. But like, imagine a future like that where like you just get organs and you think you're good, but like you owe like $10,000 to the organ company, and then just suddenly some people shove you in a van and are just like, all right, we got the hacksaw, we're taking that back.
and it doesn't even have to be as crazy as organs.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
simplify it, right? Imagine if imagine if we didn't have the protections as employees that we have right now, right? Imagine if companies had a little bit more extra like leeway. We could live in a world where we end up owing money to a company and then having to work for them basically for almost free.
yeah,
And people say like stuff like that couldn't happen. But when you look at the jailing system, we have people in jail who are literally working for pennies an hour,
yeah.
which I get it. They're criminals. They committed crazy things. But if we're going to keep them in prison, and if prison's entire thing is reformation, why are we doing that?
Yeah, when they get out, they don't really have anywhere to go or anything to do.
Simply because they were stuck reforming, quote unquote, when it's not really a reformation. Because if it actually was for reforming them, right, you would see it set up in a system where like they get, let's say, the amount that they get now in their prison bank account, and then when they leave prison, there's a bank account set up with the other side of the fund that they earned. So let's say they earned even federal minimum wage. That other $6 and something cents gets sent into an account in their name, and it's saved up so that when they leave, they have the money to be able to actually live a life immediately, instead of immediately start out outside of prison with $0, or sorry, $30 that they earned over the course of 5 years, and a prison sentence to their prison tag to their name, making it almost impossible.
I want to also throw this out there for anybody that plans to go to prison anytime soon. This is just a really good strategy. Bring jewelry, or wear jewelry when you get arrested. I know it's hard to plan when you get arrested, but if you bring jewelry when you get arrested, then what happens is it counts as clothing. So it winds up going in like the lockbox or whatever, and they hold on to it, and then they give it back to you at the end. And then what you can do with that jewelry, not telling you this is something you should do or condoning this, but you can take it to a pawn shop and make some extra money. Just throwing that out there. But
That's why a lot of minority groups actually buy a lot of jewelry and hold on to it.
that's what pimps used to do.
Pimps especially. That's actually exactly what I was talking about. That's
Yep.
funny.
Yeah, that was like an old strategy.
It's crazy to think about the fact that we know about that now.
That's why it's also good to have gold teeth way in the back.
That is good.
Way in the
Way in the back.
just in case you want to make sure that they don't know it, they can knock them out.
That's a good point. It's also the bigger teeth too, so like it's more gold.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I
You
mean,
know?
it's only a tiny bit more, but that
You know,
gold at that
still.
value is still going to matter more. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It'll only increase in value. And when you're in prison, you're only, you're probably gonna, you're gonna spend some time, so it's just gonna appreciate. So that's good. Not good, but you win some, you lose some.
To bring it back though to Epstein,
Mhm.
the name of the person, I finally found it, that originally began the speculation that Epstein was intelligence was actually it was Alexander Acosta
Oh, that guy.
through Vicky Ward. Vicky Ward being the journalist right here, who wrote the original op-ed or story, sorry, The Talented Mr. Epstein. So this happens in March 2003, right?
Mm-hmm.
This entire article is basically, in my opinion, a writer who would like to tell the truth about something that she has accidentally uncovered. This being Vicky Ward, right?
Mm-hmm.
and the entire system working against her to make sure that she only posts or she only writes the least amount of scandalous information that will at most damage his reputation in such a small, insignificant way that it could you wouldn't even think about it in a month. So that's what I think this entire article is. Vicky Ward does a bunch of research. I want to say a few months of research on Epstein, because at this point, Epstein is an enigma for some fucking reason, right? This dude just keeps appearing in like crazy deals, like crazy financial deals, but not as a forerunner, as like a background person. And for some reason, he's almost never mentioned in like the articles and stuff like that about it. My best comparison is have you ever seen Suits?
No, but I yeah, I get what
So
you mean with Epstein.
with Mike. So Mike being the fake lawyer in Suits, he's still an amazing lawyer. So he would be on these high profile cases that would be written about, but he was never written about in the stories. Right? So him being absent from the stories is a story in and of itself. And that's what I'm saying is what's happening with Epstein in the eyes of Vicky, in my opinion. That's what I think happened in her opinion. Or she was
almost
handed
like
the story.
it's kind of like a Streisand effect a little bit, because he tried to hide himself so much that he turned himself into like an enigma that people wanted to find out about.
Yes. Have you seen Jujutsu Kaisen?
No, I have not.
Here's a great example. There's a character named Gojo. He has these specific type of eyes that allow him to see magic, like magic, or like the aura of magic. In the universe, everything has magic. So everything has like magical aura. One day, this kid's like 3 or 4 years old. A person that has no magic in his body is like 40 feet behind him. So all the kid can do is stare at him because he's looking at like basically a void in the presence of a bunch of light. And that's what I think. That's what Epstein was. Like there was a void there that could be filled in, but for some reason it wasn't filled in when it was a person who should be filled in.
I get what you mean. That's pretty crazy too. The talented Mr. Epstein.
The entire article is all about Epstein's talent as a financial manager, his amazing plane rides, his amazing New York apartment, his friends, like his amazing friends that are like rich and powerful that he hangs out with. And then it touches on these weird things that he likes to do that nobody talks about, but everybody knows he does, but nobody really talks about, right? And they're so interlaced into the article. I've actually personally forgotten where they are in the article when they talk about it because it happens so few and far between. So this article becomes like almost like the grand entrance of Epstein in a weird way, where people start now knowing or accepting that they know Epstein out in the public. When I say that with quotes, right? From this point forward, now you're now going to start seeing a lot of the pictures that everyone has of Epstein, right? Those pictures being, hold on, here it is. Those pictures being the ones that everybody knows about, that have started coming out, right? All the pictures showing all the people that they were friends with, that Jeffrey Epstein was famous. They were famous and still hanging out with. Not only Jeffrey Epstein, but Ghislaine Maxwell, right? All of these famous people were known to be with them.
Winnie the Pooh. I love that one.
I wonder who this guy is. Like I always forget. I always look him up. I remember, and then I think, oh, that's crazy, and then I always forget. But he's so. But that's the thing too. There's so many of them are so unassuming, like this guy.
Is that the guy who Leon Black, the head of the photo company or whatever?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
I want to know who Winnie the Pooh guy is too.
And
I
why?
feel like they.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm interested in what you were gonna say. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like they took that picture because he had like the same eyebrows as Winnie the Pooh, but
That's hilarious.
Like-
I didn't even notice.
Epstein, yeah, look
Yeah,
at
I'm
his
literally-
eyebrows.
That's hilarious. That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
They're so evenly matched.
Yeah,
Space the same too.
the same kind of eyes too, like the kind of like I think he was doing that on purpose though. I think he's like trying to
Had
like
to be. Had to have
yeah,
been.
that's funny.
But now all these pictures all these famous pictures, this is when they start actually being taken. Because now they can finally admit that they it's not that they can admit that they know Jeffrey Epstein. It's that we're now entering an age that I call it, or so I think I said it before. I think the elites, whoever you want to call it, the people in charge, I think they messed up a few times in history. The first time I think they messed up is when they gave education to the masses. So I genuinely believe that when they first made it so that everybody can have education, I think they fucked up because I think they didn't really realize what that truly meant. I think they thought that they were training a workforce to be able to perform just a little bit better, and they didn't realize because it could have been 1,000 reasons. They probably didn't think we were smart enough to really be intelligent. They probably could have thought, oh, they're probably not going to be have enough initiative to be intelligent. But whatever the reason why is, they let us be intelligent, and enough of us became so intelligent that we were able to start new businesses, figure out our way into politics, even though we start poor. Like it gave us the ability to free ourselves if we put in enough effort. I think that was their first mistake. I think the second mistake is their biggest mistake, and that was the development of the internet. I don't think they understood how far-reaching the internet was going to be, simply because the idea of it and the capability of it is so vastly insane that they couldn't have predicted how much it would how big it would be.
It's like
Right.
Prometheus or Pandora's box.
Exactly. I think this is the internet was the Pandora's box. 1 billion%. Right? Before they released the internet, this is a very important part. The reason why I think this is because I believe that they thought they'd get away with everything forever. To the point where that's why there's so much footage, pictures, sound bites of before the internet becoming big, of all these celebrities and politicians saying crazy shit, doing the occult symbols, showing the all-seeing eye, doing all the shit. It's because they never thought anyone would be able to put it all together. Not in the way that
Yeah.
a journalist would, because they knew a journalist ever put it together. They would hear about it before it hit the waves, before it hit the magazine covers or the newspaper or the radio waves, right? So they always had control of like the narrative of that in that sense. They never thought, or I assume they never thought, 100,000 people would take the time out of their day to look at a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell and then point out all the differences of bone structures, of like eye placement, of eyebrow thickness, of everything, to prove that it's actually not Ghislaine Maxwell that showed up at the trial. They would never think that because it's such an insane thought to think, right? Back then. Because even if you're the smartest person in the world, the most creative person in the world, the internet is so vast and unknowable that no one truly could understand how capable it'd be when it was linked to every human being in the world.
You know
Because
what
that's what makes go ahead, good.
Well, I was gonna say I think social media, as detrimental as social media is, I think that also helps too. You know, to
As in like another
society.
layer. To help
Yeah.
society or to help
Well, to help
the elites.
to uncover the secrets of like what's really going on, but like with the elites and stuff like that. But also like it's also clearly a detriment to society just because of its very nature. But
Because it's like a
it
larger
helps.
a social channel.
Exactly. It's just a way to spread more propaganda, but it can also
As
help in
well
the
as
opposite.
information.
But exactly, that's what I mean. Is it can also go the opposite way and spread, not propaganda, but like good information that people should know.
And what's crazy to think about is what were they aiming to use the internet for when they first released it? Which side of that spectrum were they more falling on? Or was it both?
Probably control. It's always control. I feel like.
With the narrative of giving people information and connection, right? Because now
Yeah.
that makes them accept it. It makes them accept it from a company instead of the government.
Yeah, because newspapers were always a thing to maintain control over a population, to keep people, like, looking at certain ways and certain things. So now you introduce the internet and everybody can have like a newspaper in their house every day, all the time, 24/7.
Exactly. And I don't think they predicted that. I don't think they understood. I think they understood that the internet was a bigger newspaper, but I don't think they understood that it was a newspaper that would always be there.
Well, I think they always maintained that they could control the narrative, and they never thought that people online could start doing their own thing, like do independent
Exactly.
journalism and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the dangerous part of the web, because it's the people. And as more and more people join, more and more people notice stuff, more and more people do, like, think about it from this perspective, right? On YouTube, you can look up any video, someone has made a video of it. And even if it has 2 views, someone made that video, uploaded it to YouTube, took the time to do it. So why wouldn't they also do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
It's always a numbers game. It's happening because by the numbers, it makes sense that it's happening.
Yeah, and like you said, like they don't give us like technology, like you said 50 years, but I think it's also like when we're even ready for it, because like we've had
Good point.
had UFO tech since like at least the 1940s, and most likely I'm gonna say because of Roswell and all that. But I feel like they're not gonna put that like straight up anti-gravity tech out there because that would just topple entire industries.
You're talking about are you touching on the 11 scientists?
Oh no, I was thinking more so like going back to like Roswell and stuff like that. Like you had all these companies like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and all that like supposedly like Wright-Patterson, like they went to Wright-Patterson and like worked on this tech or like got pieces of it and started working on it. And what I think is that a lot of these companies probably, came together in this moment to also suppress the tech, because it's like Thomas Edison back in the day didn't want anybody to improve the light bulb because he was like the king of light bulbs. So he went around and either bankrupted all the people that like tried to patent like better light bulbs, or he patented the design and then suppressed it. So I think it was like these companies would try to like control the alien tech and try to figure it out and reverse engineer it, maybe even use it in like government settings for like secret spy missions and weird shit like that, or just to test out like new shit. But they never released it to the public. Even now, that like the things that they really like, we're getting like the Helios death ray. We got this huge death ray that they strapped on top of a what do you call it, destroyer ship.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's a Lockheed Martin invention right there. And if you think about it, that most definitely came from like a UFO design. Like that's literally a death ray from like a 1950s like alien UFO movie. You know what I mean? Like the whole 9 yards. That right there is something out of a sci-fi movie. And to think that they didn't get like that kind of technology from like that kind of shit, especially when it's Lockheed Martin working on it, But they're, like I'm saying, they're like just dripping out like all this information, and they can't even like give us like 70 years later, 80 years later, whatever it's been since Roswell, they can't even give us like the full anti-gravity technology, because it would just completely change the entire just face of the earth, which sucks, but also would be amazing if it could happen. It wouldn't suck, it would be amazing. It just would suck for them.
In regards to the 0 point energy, or sorry, not 0 point energy, in regards to the anti-gravity, I do believe that is a technology that we should already have at this point.
Yeah.
I think the second Bob Lazar, you guys remember Bob Lazar, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. So I think the second he was vindicated, what was it, element like 115 or something like that?
Yep.
The second that was discovered, when he was talking about it 20 years before, everybody should have like turned and went, okay, so if this guy was right about this, and this, let's all storm Area 51 to tell us what's going on, because that's crazy. Genuinely, that's crazy. This dude, like, I think that's the thing that's the craziest to me. No one is reacting enough to the stuff that we're being told, but also I understand why they're not reacting. It's because no one else is going to react.
We're under a spell.
I think AI too, as weird as it is to say, I think they dropped AI just in time for all this crazy shit to like come out. so that they can just basically put people in a point where they can't even know what's real or not anymore.
Oh, 100%. Because they didn't need to show us that the AI existed. But now that they did, every single video that we look at, we have to wonder. Anytime
There's
something
that,
crazy happens.
That woman one of the scientists that was killed recently.
Yes.
Or in the last few years.
No, very recently.
Amy something?
Yes. Amy.
She was the one that said that, like, essentially
Eskridge.
she figured out what was going on with Bob Lazar and that whole base, but saying that Bob Lazar had it backwards, essentially.
Yes.
Like, she figured out how the anti-gravity was working. She understands all, like, the relevance of that element, but that it wasn't exactly what he thought. It was the opposite of what he thought.
I think personally that they all the 11 scientists.
And they murdered her for saying that.
I think they were all murdered because I think they figured it out by accident.
Yep.
And I think they were all working on a project, or like when Indiana Jones, when Indy's going to like different like places to like gather information about like the project he's about to take on, right? I think that's what was going on, where like 1 or 2 or 3, maybe a team of them, right? 5 or 6 of them. Because like 3 or 4 of them were working at the same company, right? I think they discovered something and they were like, all right, we should go to the people that know the most about this, and this. So they wins that they're these genius scientists who are experts in specific fields, gathered that information, and then they figured out, oh my God, this is anti-gravity. This is like
I just want to real quick say I don't want to make any speculation or alleged or anything like that, but those people that she could have gone to were possibly Louis Elizondo and John Brandenburg, and she ended up saying that they were evil in that video. And
I have to
John,
rewatch the video.
Haltoff.
I didn't know about that part.
Oh yeah, she said that they were evil, and then I ended up I posted in one of our last couple episodes. I posted a thing that showed her saying that, and then immediately after, you see a tweet, Brandenburg or whatever, one of the people that she says was evil, is just like, yeah, rest in peace to Amy Eskridge, great scientist. Like, that's crazy
to say, right?
Yeah.
it's sometimes it's like they dance in her face.
Exactly.
And you have to genuinely sit there and wonder, like, was it actually a coincidence? And if it was a coincidence, how many coincidences get to be a point on this graph before it's aligned?
I have a question. How do you feel about like the ritual, the actual like belief in the ritual side of things? Like in terms of Jeffrey Epstein, but also just like powerful ancient bloodline cabals. What do you think they're doing? Like what kind of like rituals, what kind of magic are they doing?
I think it's the same type of magic that's been being passed down for centuries. I think it's Solomon stuff. I think it's Aleister Crowley stuff. I think it's the same as like the scientific way of like how you can track from this point right now. You can go up to a scientist, like an accredited scientist that's gone to school, has studied under somebody and blah, all that shit. And you can actually trace from them the knowledge root from them to Newton. You can literally trace back each like master. Yeah. You can do that for science, right? I think the same thing can be done for magic. And whether the magic is working or not, I think they believe it's working, and so they pass it down. I think somebody's probably got the Solomon stuff, the Solomon Thousand Rings, the real one, or the you know what I'm saying, the keys. Sorry, I think somebody has Aleister Crowley's actual grimoires.
What about Kabbalah?
I'm not as familiar with Kabbalah. The most I know about
that's what apparently it's in one of the Epstein files. Was him talking about Kabbalah and making fun of Madonna for even trying to talk about it. Like she knew what the fuck she was talking about.
It is so. There's this idea, and a lot of because of my childhood, I know that there are a lot of Jewish cults out there. A lot of those cults believe in a lot of weird shit.
Can we also say that you are Jewish as well, too, for context?
I was Jewish, and then I converted to Christianity, but I was Jewish my entire childhood. Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's the only reason why I even know about this. I had grown up in a cult that the name of the cult was the Brotherhood of Israel.
You've never described it like that. Like, oh yeah, I was in a cult.
That's how I've always thought about it. I only recently started calling that maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, because I finally realized like we did weird stuff. So do you remember before the Great Purge on YouTube, when there were thousands upon millions of like conspiracy videos?
Yeah.
This was one of those groups that would post those videos.
Oh shit. That's
Whoa.
So I knew about like all like the Epstein, not the Epstein stuff, but like I knew about Alex Jones when like he was still doing fucking like original fucking InfoWars. Not original because obviously it was from like the 90s and shit. But like in the 2000s, my dad is pulling up on like Saturday fucking morning after we're done eating breakfast. We're sitting in the living room. Everybody's just watching Alex Jones talks about like crazy shit. And then like we'll watch videos of like one of the people that I can't say his name, but one of the people who was in like the temple, he would make the videos and stuff like that for the YouTube channel. This dude knew so many conspiracies, it was crazy. But he would make the videos, and those videos were like super popular, but like they would be copied and stuff like that. So they were amongst millions of groups like that. Because that group was like copied over again. Yeah. What's funny is the Black Israelite groups that you see, like preaching now, are kind of like an offshoot from some of those groups actually. Yeah, it's crazy to think about. I am also black to let everybody know. So that's why I know this.
So I guess I asked about like the actual like magic of it all to ask how you think that works with the alien phenomena.
What do you
Like,
mean
how
alien
do you-
phenomena before I answer?
So like if there are people doing magical rituals, you know,
Yes.
obviously people, you know, the Crowley alien contact thing is already like known, but what do you, if you had to explain it, like how do you explain aliens and the alien conspiracy and how
When
that
magic
connects
exists?
to and how that connects to magic in our world and
I
the
don't think it
powers
does
that be that
connect.
use magic?
I don't think it does connect. I think they're two separate things that are happening congruently. Is
Like
that the
Don
right
to
word?
Don?
Exactly. That's the exact example I was going to use.
Yeah,
Just because
I've said that on the podcast to the host here before.
I fully believe that
And
there are
we're
levels to
not
it.
helpless to these aliens. We got our own power. We got our own psychic energy.
In some way, we probably do.
Well, so a lot of the conspiracies and stuff online, it says that humans are special. They do have something like different. They say that like well, you even said this to me though, Anti-Host, is that like it sounds like propaganda when the military or the government says that they don't have souls or they like are envious of us and our spiritual nature, I guess. Like that's one of the things that's like I guess a common narrative or thread is that they're very envious of our spirituality.
Wait, who is?
Aliens.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe yeah.
Have you what you're talking about? That's based off the idea of what is it called? It's actually a theological idea. I think it's a religious idea. It's the idea that because man is made in the image of God, there are others outside of us that are so warped and disgusting and evil that they're jealous that they're not made in the image of God, that they don't have like the power, like the spiritual aspect of God with them.
Well, maybe, but I heard that is a thing with that. But I mean like I thought that there was an interview that I thought that they did with an alien where they tried to discuss like the universe and like everything and what's really going on and shit. And it was one of the aliens, I guess, that survived like a crash. It might have been Roswell or something else, but they tried to nurse him, but he ended up like dying later on. And what I guess, and he ended up saying that like that all humans are basically like shells for like the soul, and that like no religion has really gotten it right, but there's like been like a few like ancient religions like Gnostic religions that have like come close to like the answer and Hermeticism and shit like that. And I guess like this alien like just said some shit about like the universe and said that like I guess that human, and this could have just been like government propaganda. This could have just been like all stuff that like they wanted people to hear because of that reason, because they wanted people to think that there was more of like a religious element to it, that these aliens are beyond
Demons.
like, yeah, exactly, like beyond God, like something like other. And who knows, and maybe they do have some kind of fucked up spirituality or something like that. I've also heard that the Greys, the reason why they are the way they are is because they bombed their entire civilization back to like the Stone Age, basically, and ended up being used as like slaves to the Anunnaki or whatever. So there's a lot of shit.
See, I don't know where I fall on the Anunnaki side of things, because I do believe that in our past there were definitely hyper intelligent creatures of some kind who are definitely guiding us.
Like manipulating like our genetics too.
I don't even mean to that extent, but it could be. I mean, like, imagine if the world were to end today because a bunch of nukes went off, but by chance, for some fucking reason, Mark Zuckerberg built this one underground bunker in the middle of this random city or town where 10,000 people are all able to squeeze in. All the nukes go off, and they have enough food that they could survive for 200 years. And they get out, and they're all healthy, and they're all able to repopulate the world. During that time, where the adults that lived in the old world exist, they're on like a timer to either write down, record something, everything that they know, right? And that bunker probably wasn't made for that reason. And I'm only using this as so it's an analogy for like nowadays times, because it could have been anything back then. Because I do believe in the idea that the world has been reset a bunch of times because of some type of global catastrophe, right? Now, let's say every time that happens, a group of adults saves a group of children, right? But the adults grow old enough where they now can't pass on the knowledge that they have. And they're the last adults that could tell the children, hey, we came from a world where like we conquered the skies. We went to the moon and back. Like, those people don't exist any longer. But to the children, they were legends. Because the children would listen to the stories of the elders, and the elders would tell them about towers that would pierce the skies and metal boxes that use the liquid of the ground to propel it, to use fire to push itself forward. They wouldn't even because they don't even understand.
Or wars with great explosions.
Exactly, because now I'm just talking about the nice stuff. Imagine the evil stuff, the harsh stuff. How would they explain it to the children?
Like the Bhagavad Gita and stuff like that.
So many things that you have to consider, right? Those people die out, and now it's just children passing on stories to other children, and that's what I think just keeps happening.
Yeah,
and like we keep fucking up at some point, but whether it's us fucking up, we make it too far and we get stopped. Whatever the reason is, doesn't really matter. What the thing that matters is, I think we just keep getting reset.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's so many like scenarios or like things on Earth where it looks like there's been like nuclear bombs that were used in like in ancient times. Like I think there's a spot in India, if I'm not mistaken, that where it shows literally like this glassy type substance on the desert floor. And people like theorize that the only way that would have happened is if there was like a major like nuclear disaster there. And the reason why too is because like the glass is like it was like irradiated or something like that. It was like not radiated, but it was like iridium or something like that. It was some kind of like rare glass that only happens like when there's a nuclear explosion. So
I don't know the place, but I know what you're talking about. There were also other places where they found irradiated soil super deep in the ground that were so irradiated, it would have had to have come from nuclear energy of some kind. So even if it wasn't a bomb, like it was soil that was around some type of nuclear factory.
Oh yeah.
That alone, there's so much evidence of their idea of like the fact that we keep getting reset.
in France, there's this random like underground. It's apparently the only natural nuclear reactor that exists, and it was just like some random plutonium or some shit like that deposit that just kept getting splashed with water or something like that, and it's in France. What makes that even like just be natural? What if that was just like a nuclear reactor way, way, way back? And it experienced the disaster, and this is just like the remnants of it left over, and like all the shit that like would have been around it, like the ruins and like the metal and shit just melted. You know what I mean? Just
And
like
I would lean more towards that being the idea, because you're saying natural nuclear reactor to me. I'm sitting here going, how is that even possible?
I should probably look that up, but that is apparently a thing. There's apparently only one natural nuclear, or maybe it's like a nuclear fusion. Natural.
Like, I think about it because, like, I would 100% believe in more that, like, this was like an area that had something like that before. It irradiated the spot so much that even now it's still going.
Natural nuclear reactor in Oklo, Gabon. Discovery by French scientists in southern France is the only known site where a sustained nuclear fission occurred naturally. About 2 billion years ago, groundwater moderated a rich uranium deposit, causing it to act as a self-sustaining pulsed nuclear reactor for thousands of years. That's crazy.
Like, would you believe that, or would you rather believe, oh, there used to be a nuclear reactor right here, 10,000 years ago, in a city that was destroyed?
Exactly.
Like, that makes more sense to me. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I believe that side more because it makes more sense.
Exactly.
You're talking about a natural nuclear reactor.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I'm not a nuclear reactor scientist, but like,
But they're basically describing it as it being easy as just like putting like water on, enriched uranium. But like, how easy is that really getting like enriched uranium? Apparently it's not. The Iranians are 2 weeks away. But sorry.
When you said there was a natural nuclear reactor like that, I'm just thinking about the plutonium and like the energy coming off of it. I'm just like, maybe there was some sort of Conan the Barbarian-esque era for one of the resets, and these people had like plutonium fucking rods that they carried like magic wands.
Oh, that would
honestly,
be crazy.
I could see them worshiping it.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk
Just
up to a nuclear
like
reactor factory, like,
crazy, dramatic, spiky stone castles, and people worshiping green crystals.
Yeah, glowing green crystals.
and they walk up to those crystals, and it literally makes their bodies vibrate. They feel the crystals. So why wouldn't they?
Oh.
Like, a thing that I think a lot of people don't do when they're thinking about people of the past is genuinely putting yourself in the idea of, like, imagine, like, if you were like 8 years old knowledge wise, but body wise you're you. That was all of the adults back then.
Yeah.
Now you have to react to the situation that I'm putting you hypothetically in, because it's not your brain understanding what a car is. It's the brain of a dude who eats bread every day. That's his meal. That's it.
Survival.
Drinks dirty water, works 16 hours a day. It is just now making sure his 8-year-old kid stops going to school so he can go work in the factory. Like, they don't give a shit. It's exactly what you said. It's survival, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like I feel like, yeah, we're all just cogs in the machine. At the
And if
end
you
of the
think about
day.
that statement that you're saying, you have to think, if we're all cogs in the machine, what is the machine?
Everyday society, and that's why, like you're saying, like the people that just at the time they were basically like just 8-year-olds, like walking around like as adults, pretty much, like these people mentally, right? Well, nowadays it's like you're saying, like we're a part of we're a part of the machine, so we're all like, I feel.
Oh, I think you cut out.
They cut him out.
We still can't hear you.
This happens sometimes. This shit gets all fucked up. And
Oh yeah, all right, sorry. Yeah, no, basically I was just saying, like, I feel like modern day society, like, we're more evolved mentally, but like we have much less freedom. I mean, that's kind of obvious, you know? But back in the day, we weren't evolved mentally, but we could just kind of go around and just like, you could murder somebody on the side of the highway and then just shove them in a ditch somewhere and just be a highway robber, or go steal somebody's horse and go to a new town and start a new life. It's crazy. 2 towns away.
No,
One-
and that's the craziest thing that you just said. The craziest part of what you just said is the 2 towns away part.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like you don't even have to go that far. You can just go 1 county over, or within the same county, and you could disappear.
And imagine living in a life like that for hundreds of years, and then somebody comes to you and goes, "Hey, from now on, every book that's ever been written is now on a box that lights up, and you can read it." Oh, what's lights up? Fuck, I don't know, because you see what I'm trying to say. Like it's so difficult to explain.
Well,
Like,
even before that, like think about like all these moments in history where like people had to like basically like mature as a society. Like somebody came to like some peasant one day and said, "Hey, I've been appointed by God to lead you," and he was basically like, "Huh?" And then he's like, "All right, now pay me 10% of whatever you make on this farm," and they're just like, why?" And they're like, "Oh, well, I told you, I've been appointed by God. That's why." And then they're
and that's
just
what
like, "All
kings
right."
are. That's literally what kings
Exactly.
are.
Exactly. So then you eventually you get like you go further on in life, and the king's like, "Oh, you know what? I need somebody to store all this wealth that I'm accruing. Hey, this guy that I borrow money from or whatever, he's this nobleman. He seems pretty good." And then people start borrowing money from him, and then they start owing money to him, and then boom, you got banks. And it's just like every now and then we just have to like level up in society with these little things that just happen. Like, you get kings, you get democracy, you get like you get like fucking taxes, you get banks, you get the internet.
Paired to that, you also should have human beings evolving alongside of it, and I don't think we
Yes.
have for a long time.
No, I think I think we've been pretty stagnant the last 100 and say 50, 200 years, even though we've like our technology has
Improved.
skyrocketed. Well, it's been like it's crazy. We had like, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but we had like the airplane like 100 years ago, or 120, 130 years ago we came out with the airplane. And then boom, now we've sent somebody supposedly to the moon, allegedly, maybe, who knows. But it's like the amount of progress that we've made technologically in the last 100 years, creating bigger bombs, creating things that go faster, fly higher, or even just fly in general. It's kind of mind-blowing that we've kind of stagnated to this point mentally. Like it is still just about survival in just a different way, and I think that's also the issue with bureaucracy and like all these companies and like corporations that are like coming to power and shit like that. It's gonna stagnate us like mentally and spiritually. I mean, we all know that. It's like the classic tale of working the 9 to 5 kills the spirit or whatever.
You're saying it's built. You're saying you feel like it's built into the system, like it's not
Yeah.
a feature. It is the system itself.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's evolved to this point, and the system has evolved outside of like human spirit in a sad way. And there's people that are trying to capture that back into the system, and there's the system. People are trying to manipulate it a little more, but I think the path that we're set on is kind of a little dystopic, and we're just going to keep going down a more like corporatized like path, I think.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I
100%.
mean?
I think Cyberpunk 2077 is the closest
Yep.
thing to what we're gonna have.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are seeing that as like a crazy game. That's, by the way, top 3 games of all time for me.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I fully believe that is the future we're heading towards, in a good and bad way. Did you see the video of the Neuralink of
Yes.
the man who can now speak to his wife?
I didn't see that, but I've seen like them do like Neuralink stuff, and it's pretty wild the shit that they can do.
You gotta watch the newest one, right? It's about, if I remember right, it's very short. It's like 8 to 18 minutes, not that long. I cried at the end of it because all I could think about were the implications of what we're gonna do with this technology now. Genuinely, this man had I think it was ALS,
Mm.
and it was severe, and he was losing function of everything very quickly. His wife stuck by him the entire time for years, and he survived for years, like trapped, barely able to speak, barely able to move correctly. The company goes to them. I forget what the name of the company is, but they go to him. I think it actually is just Neuralink, and they're like, "Hey, we believe we'll be able to give you the ability to speak again, like clearly. Would you let us do it?" So like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. I don't remember the timeline, but it was very short. 3 months, a year. It was a very short timeline. He just thinks the thoughts, and his screen speaks it aloud in his voice the way it sounded before he lost his ability to speak.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
It's amazing. Dude,
That's fucking crazy.
The first thing he did when his voice was finally like really good, ready to go, he calls his wife, and he just calls her. She's like, "Hello," and he says, "I love you," and she breaks down crying because she tells the camera later on, it's exactly he sounded exactly, he said it the same way he said to me the first time he said "I love you" when we were sweethearts in high school. I literally broke down crying. I was like, "Oh my god, this is incredible technology!" Like, there's going to be people that lose, like people are losing that have like memory loss, are now getting their memories back from technology that we're making today. Like now, like we're finally exploring psilocybin effects on like long-term memory and long-term memory loss, where we're entering an age genuinely where so much is going to change that a lot of people are too afraid to accept how much change there's going to be, and they'll leave themselves behind, and that sucks in my opinion.
I agree. I agree to an extent, but I'm also like not the type to get like myself chipped. So who knows?
But you don't have to get chipped. What if you were told that, hey, we've discovered this pill that gets rid of a lot of the microbacteria in your body that's like harmful to your health?
Oh yeah, I do stuff like that.
Because that's what I mean. There's going to be people that take that evolutionary path. There's going to be people that take the evolutionary path of like the Borg, and they replace body parts and stuff like that with like cybernetics and stuff like that. And there's going to be another one we don't even think about right now.
I wouldn't go down that path. Like what do they call that? Transhumanist. I wouldn't go down the cyborg robot path. That's what I'm.
Personally,
I don't wanna,
Personally, would you replace any of your body parts? This is to both.
I'd replace an arm or a limb, and something like that. Yeah.
I would only do it if it gave me extraordinary abilities.
Yeah, strength would be cool.
What would you do? What would it have to be?
I need at least a double jump.
It's not even his legs. He just has an arm that allows him to double jump.
It just launches air out of it.
It's like Thor's hammer. It just like sends him wherever he's got to go.
Just swinging it like fucking.
That'd be cool though. A double jump would be actually like probably one of the sickest things that you could like get out of like a prosthetic like limb like that.
Yeah, that's a wild one, but that is one of the ones in the game, so it probably will become something available.
Yeah,
just like a burst of air.
Yeah, an exoskeleton would be great. That
exist.
Would be fun.
They already exist.
Yes, but like one that you can just throw on real quick and just like go to town like Iron Man or whatever. That would be fun. Just start picking up cars.
I don't think we're that far away from that.
I agree with that. I think that's like within like the next generation or two, really.
Easily.
Yeah.
I'm the things that I'm more curious about are I think I think it's crazy that we're not making certain stuff. Like, I think we should be making giant robots. Not to the size of like a city, but I do think that robots are something that should be being made. And I think like when I say giant robots, I mean like giant utility robots. Like I think it's crazy that so much of what we're doing is still manually done.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my crazy take. I think we should be accelerating the use of AI within companies to force the hand of the government to enact a type of bill that allows for universal basic income. I think it should be paid for from the profits of the publicly traded American companies that use the automation that AI and robots give.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty great, honestly.
I'm very much on the side of Andrew Yang about what he was talking about for a lot of what he said when he ran. I think he was too early. If he
Yeah.
ran now, how do you feel if he ran? How do you feel? Do you feel like he would have more exposure now?
He still can.
Yeah, I wish he ran in 2024, honestly. He didn't run in 2024, did he?
Almost nobody ran,
Yeah, literally.
which is insane to think about, but I'm gonna move
And then
past it.
and then it was too many people in 2020, and then in 2024 it was too little. It was like they
That's
flipped.
crazy to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Pete
Actually
Buttigieg.
thinking about that, yeah. So many of them were, and there's so many times that I think we had such a chance to really flip what's going on.
Yeah, but instead we went with same old same. Sleepy Joe.
The devil,
That-
you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue, is that we always go with the devil we know, and even when we go with somebody who's we think is the devil we don't know, he still is just the devil, and he's ends up being awful. But
Like,
you
oh,
can see,
this devil prods me.
well,
Hey, this one's better because he only pokes me.
hey, this devil tells me that he's gonna, my soul. That's I need
At least
that.
he warns me. At least he warns me.
Yeah, he's honest. We love the honesty.
He tells me before he fucks me, you know? But yeah, like that's genuinely it. That's genuinely what's going on.
Yeah.
And you just gotta like, as like you're not even a player on the board because you can't call yourself a pawn, because in the game of chess, a pawn has value. We don't even have value to these guys, so they move us around in ways that they don't care about.
Yeah.
They move entire. No, go ahead. Hold on. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say, and that just goes up the ladder. Like everybody's a pawn, pretty much, up until you get to the tippy top.
And you don't need. I bet there are people at the top of organizations and shadow governments even who think that they're like the one in charge, but they still feel like there might be somebody like above them, without even if there isn't, just because like the life you're living, it's like a spy that is always on edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like everybody thinks the president's in charge, but he's not. It's just secret groups and interests and deep state and all this other shit. CIA, all that kind
More
of
than
shit.
likely, it's the CIA. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
All
let's
right,
go over the timeline of Epstein.
Hell yeah.
All right. So if you start at the beginning, Jeffrey Epstein's born in 1953. Actually, you know what? Let me share this as well, so you can kind of see kind of a visual of what I'm talking about. I used an AI to kind of whip this up, make it easy for me to kind of visually show kind of his exploits. There's a bunch of mistakes spelling wise, but that's not really the point.
Yeah, that looks good though.
Kind of gets the visuals across, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
1953, January, Epstein's born. He's born to a very normal family. Almost no connections. And then after that, somehow, some way, in the 1970s, he ends up teaching at the Dalton School as a mathematician. Very little's known in between like those two time periods. Everything that's known, I have written down on three pieces of paper.
Wait, did you say where he was born?
Yes, New York. Hold on. It's not New York. It was
New
Coney.
York?
Coney. Coney Island. Yeah, he was the one
Wow.
in the Coney Island area. Yeah, very close by.
Where did his family live?
Where did his family live? I don't know the exact area. But the closest I've ever gotten it down to was just a regular house in the Seagate, Coney Island area. That's the closest I've never like found the house itself. You know what I mean? Maybe it's
Yeah.
out there and I just don't know how to find it. Like I said, I'm like a regular guy. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I may be a spirit detective, but I'm not a detective. You know what I mean?
I like that. That was good.
But yeah, no, like his childhood, there's not a lot known, but the stuff that is known lines up with everything we think about with Jeffrey Epstein, right? Everybody who knew him back then talked about him as being this intelligent person. Intelligent, charismatic, very good with numbers. So good with numbers that I believe at some point during his childhood, Jeffrey Epstein was approached by whether it was a Rothschild himself, an agent of them, but in some way, shape, or form, I believe personally, and this is the first conspiracy I'm bringing out, I believe that Jeffrey Epstein is connected to the Rothschilds deeply. I think this was the point in which they initiated contact sometime when he probably turned like 13 to 18. That's when I assume they started initiating contact with him. I think this because somehow, some way, he's able to get a teaching position in a super elite New York school called the Dalton School, right? Without a degree. He had no degree in mathematics, no degree in teaching, nothing. First thing that's super weird. It's weird because it's weird in the way of somehow, some way, Jeffrey Epstein keeps failing upwards in everything that he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think during this time that he was approached, he was told like, "Hey, we're gonna take care of you for the rest of your life. We just want you to do things when we tell you to do them." Now, first piece of evidence that he is 100% connected to the Rothschilds is this video, which I'm going to play now. Give me 1 second to reshare it. Can you see it?
Yep.
So this is Lex Wexner. Should be right here. That he gets asked, is it going to share the audio? I hope it does. Can you hear this?
Oh.
That's Lex Wexner, the owner and like founder of like Victoria's Secret, I think, or at least owner, straight up admitting that Jeffrey Epstein worked with the Rothschilds, the entire family.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy when he said the entire family. I hadn't heard that part. That was wild.
So you now have this man who we have a connection now saying that at some point in his childhood, he gets connected to the Rothschilds. And this connection rockets him into positions that he would never have been able to reach. But he was able to reach because I personally think that, and here's my second conspiracy theory, I think Jeffrey Epstein was a genius. Like a genius as in like Albert Einstein's level of intelligence. I think he got too big for his own britches. That's the only way I can think about it. And that's what brought him down. I think this man probably had an intelligence level of such a high caliber that he could think 1,000 steps ahead of people on 1,000 different chessboards. And that's what interested the Rothschilds.
And that's why he's still alive.
And that's another reason why he's still alive. 1,000,000,000%. Because you don't lose an asset like that. You don't give up an asset like that in any organization, ever. You extract them and you make sure that they're safe on that extraction. Lex Wexner, the man you just saw, is one of two men, the other being Leon Black, who basically financed all of Epstein's life in the beginning. For some reason, they gave him millions and millions of dollars that he then took, bought his U.S. Virgin Island, the Epstein Island, and then through a bunch of super shady tax loopholes, was able to get even more money out of the money he was already given by avoiding all those taxes. He was able to get an additional $300 million on top of that, where he was supposed to lose it and he didn't. So he was basically given billion. He was basically given almost $1 billion and told to just fuck around with it.
I wish that would happen to us, honestly.
That sounds like someone who just top of the world wealthy. Like they just get given money whenever they need it.
To do anything they want.
Like that's how wealthy they are. They don't even carry money probably.
And that's the mindset these people are operating at, right? Exactly what you just said. That's exactly the mindset they're operating at. That money isn't even a thing. It's just a piece of paper I gotta exchange to get this thing done. I don't even know what numbers written on this piece of paper. I don't know how many I'm giving you. That's how they're thinking about it.
I just want to state that if anybody wants to think about it that way towards us, definitely reach out to us. Let us know.
I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah, just throwing that out there. But yeah.
The good we could do with almost $1 billion.
Exactly.
Let's make it happen, guys.
Let's do it. Come on, guys.
I'd buy an island.
It would be the opposite of an Epstein island.
Yeah, what's going on here?
I'd call it Big St. James.
Big St. James.
No.
So he fails upwards into the Dalton school somehow, which again I believe is because of his connection to the Rothschilds, putting him in a place of power so that he can get connected to certain people. Those connections are what led him next to go to Bear Stearns. I always say the bank wrong. Again, still no degree in anything that he's participating in. Nothing. He's just a dude who's really good at math. Now, here's where stuff starts going really weird. I wasn't able to find this exact interview, but that's because I couldn't remember which one it was from. I believe it was from Flagrant, where Andrew Schultz was and Akash Singh were interviewing. I don't remember his name, but they were interviewing this guy, and he was talking about how when he was at Bear Stearns, nobody understood why he was there. It was clear that he was like intelligent, but it was also clear he had no idea what he was fucking talking about. But for some reason, he made mad money. Like he would just predict some crazy ass trades, and he would just make money off of it. I believe those trades were the Rothschilds in the background moving their money around and allowing Epstein to gather money of his own from it to again launch him into this situation that he ends up in, right? Because again, I believe that everything that they were doing was a long-term strategy that they were running. Because here's something that a lot of people don't think about. China, when they run their country, they run it on an 80-year scale, or a 50-year scale, sorry, right? They think about what they're going to do from here until 50 years from now, and what they're going to do to get to that point. America runs on a 4 to 8 year scale. If these dynasties exist, what are their time scales? Probably an entire lifetime, right?
Yeah.
You would have multiple heads of these
There's
families.
probably like thousands of years old prophecies that they're following.
Dynastic.
And whether or not they're real or not doesn't matter because they believe them, so they follow them. And because they're following them, that's the reality we're living in.
And that's why we got like Freemasons and shit too.
Exactly. Because who knows if it's real or not? But if enough people believe it, and then I get told, hey, you should believe this, that's a chance I might believe it.
Yeah.
Especially if I get to see like evidence, quote unquote, of it working.
That's
so he
a good
fails
point.
into Bear Stearns. People think he's an idiot, but he still makes a bunch of money. And then something happens. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody on the outside knows what it is. But for some reason, Jeffrey Epstein leaves Bear Stearns, right? And he leaves on amicable terms because he still gets to keep his, I think it's like $100,000 as a bonus, right? There's conflicting reports on why he left. I do believe that he left on bad terms, simply because the reason why he left the Dalton school was because he was known as a charismatic teacher who was very friendly with the young women, to the point where he would not only welcome their advances, but he would also chase them on his own.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Crazy. So we knew about this way back then. I believe that's what happened when he was at Bear Stearns. Something happened where someone found out, and he was taken out again. Basically an extraction. People were probably paid off to keep it quiet, and then the system moved forward. The plan moved forward. Because the plan is to get Jeffrey Epstein into a position where he can compromise as many of the richest and most powerful men and women in the world. That's the idea, right? To get Jeffrey Epstein to that point. To do that, we need him to have wealth and social connections. He's already charismatic. He already has the intelligence to adapt that charisma into any social situation.
He
we just
already
need to get him
likes
into the room.
He already likes a really specific vice that will overthrow monarchies.
Exactly. He is an invaluable tool that the Rothschilds discovered when he was a child, a teenager. Again, another reason why I don't believe he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So he leaves Bear Stearns, and at this point, this dude just becomes like a wizard. Because for some reason, he's not mentioned in a lot of articles, but the articles and the exposés and the stuff he's mentioned in, they always they talk about him as if he's like this fucking, not even Bruce Wayne, but like if everybody knew Batman was Bruce Wayne, but he still pretended to just be Bruce Wayne. Like that's how they would describe him. But it would be that way, or it'd be so silent. It would just be like the deal was structured by Jeffrey Epstein, right?
He was a billionaire activist.
A billionaire activist
that didn't want people to know he was a billionaire or an activist. Very weird. At this point, that's when he meets Lex Wexner, who for some reason gives him millions of dollars. Like millions of dollars to get this guy to be as rich as possible. So much money that to this day, think about it this way, ready? If I'm remembering this correct, because I believe it was Lex Wexner. I might be wrong about the person, but I believe it was Lex Wexner. Epstein was made the controlling partner, like the controlling person of all of Lex Wexner's wealth.
I think you're right.
Every dollar, every cent. And Lex Wexner, for some reason, is A, free man, and B, claiming that he didn't know what was going on. Now, before the before the sweetheart deal, before the 2006 scandal, let's call it scandal for now, because that's what they called it. Lex Wexner, you can give him the benefit of the doubt, but what you can't give him, but you can't give it to him after you think about the fact that why would one of the world's richest men hand over his entire fortune to a random person he just met?
Because
what if
he has value, or he has value to somebody, or somebody has something on him? That's the only two options, really.
Exactly. And what's this dude who, for some reason, that keeps failing upwards, worth to one of the most richest men in the world? Probably nothing. But you know what he probably does have? Evidence of Lex Wexner probably fucking.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Now imagine if that was what's happening. And this is way back when this first starts. Because he's like the first target. Second target, like one of the first people that were targeted. Instead of being subtle about it, they just tell him, give us access to all your wealth or we're going to release this. You can still go ahead and just do your stuff with all your wealth too, but we also just have the ability to spend your money whenever we want now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I personally believe happened. I believe that's what started it. And that's what really got the ball rolling when they realized this is going to work really well. I think from that point forward, they compromised as many people as they could, as fast as possible. So fast that if it was any other type of business or scheme, it would have fallen apart simply from its inability to hold its shape together. Basically, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say we've talked about this before, though. It worked because of the very nature of the way it worked. because once you blackmail somebody, you're not just gonna go and tell the guy, that Jeffrey Epstein's gonna want to meet all of your buddies. Once you get blackmailed by him, he's gonna be like, all right, now show me 10 of your richest friends. And now you're not gonna be like, well, I can't do that, because he's just gonna blackmail those guys. And you can't just go to your friends and be like, hey guys, I'm being blackmailed. Don't talk to this guy. Because then they're going to be like, well, why are you being blackmailed? What are you being blackmailed about? And then the shit's going to come out. So then you're just going to introduce Jeffrey Epstein to all of your buddies, and then he's going to get what he needs out of all of those guys, and then those guys are going to introduce him to 10 other guys, and he's going to get what he needs out of those guys, and it's just going to keep going and going and going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the entire system. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew in Florida, it grew in New York, and it grew so big that he tried to do it in Texas, and then he realized, no, I should be in the islands. I should be somewhere where I have total control of everything that happens. And that's why he has the 3 places, one of which, the ranch that nobody likes to talk about.
Yeah, Zorro.
Which, personally, I believe it's still active. I believe Zorro Ranch is still active.
Nobody's going there and investigating it, right? Like, nobody's investigating it because of the bodies that they found like 20 minutes away in like West Mesa, whatever the hell it was. There was
very bare minimum, yeah, bare minimum stuff.
Yeah, there's like they haven't like at all acknowledged or investigated shit over there. And there was just like I said, just 20 minutes away from Zorro Ranch was something called like the Bone Collector, where they found like a bunch of it was like something like 20 bodies of like teenage women that were just randomly scattered around. That was like a really famous mystery for like years, going like back to like either the 2000s or the 90s.
And what's crazy is it's probably his victims.
Exactly. Nobody knew what it was, and that's probably what it was.
But you sit here and you hear that story and you think, oh, you're telling me 20 minutes away is Jeffrey Epstein's ranch? And these are all young women? All right, yeah, I mean, it should be case closed at that point.
But no, they
what
can't.
What about him being a cannibal? Where does that fit in?
I believe that he's doing that. I believe there's a lot of cannibals within the hierarchy, or in the like the Epstein class. I 100% believe that, because again, I believe that they believe the magical rituals that they're performing. So a lot of magic rituals would tell you to drink the blood of the heart of your enemy, or to devour the spleen of a warrior that you have fallen.
Sounds good.
Like those are the type of rituals that they're performing. Like if they believe one thing, they'll believe the others. Like I believe Ellen DeGeneres. I do believe she's one of the most prolific cannibals. Because again, in the same way how you said allegedly. So how you said they love the fact that Jeffrey Epstein already had the vice of liking what he liked.
Oh yes.
Imagine if Ellen also does the same, but for cannibalism.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
Because again, if there's billions of us on this planet, we're all characters in an RPG. Someone's gonna get the fucked up stats.
Yeah, some of us are Army Hammers.
You're never gonna, and some of them are gonna have money. So by chance, they now have a second avenue of stuff that they can go down. Because the Rothschilds already know. Oh, we already have people who like to fuck children, but we've never had anybody that likes to eat people. Let's get Ellen on board. Now Ellen's an agent for them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the cannibalism goes back further.
In the sense of magic, or in the sense of history-wise?
Both.
Rituals.
Oh yeah, no. So yes, because I that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are others that liked it. Ellen's just one of those people that they were able to find. There's definitely others out there that like eating, like eating people, and they've existed for a long time. I'm just saying Ellen's one of the ones that we know about. That's all.
Yeah. Allegedly.
I think it's crazy that we say that though, because like, what else could cheese pizza mean, especially in the contents that we keep seeing it in?
But I mean, this whole show is for satire and entertainment purposes. Everybody knows. But
Oh, of course, we're talking about Minecraft.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, what could cheese pizza mean? I mean, CP. What could that acronym mean?
Cyberpunk.
Exactly.
Let's get our minds out of the gutter, guys.
Let's get our minds out of the gutter. That's
But-
what they meant by CP77. All right.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. But that's how dumb that they really think some of us are. That's how dumb some of us are, though.
That is
That
true.
will believe that, which really sucks. What was his name? Comedian, genius comedian, white hair, old Carlin. He said,
Yes, he's awesome.
love the dude, love his work. Favorite quote by him: "The average American is an idiot. Half of those now imagine half the Americans that you know are dumber than that."
That's a pretty good quote.
So yeah, because you think about it, you're like, yeah, that makes sense why so many people fall for so much stuff.
Yeah, people are just generally idiots.
And it sucks because, again, there are tools to help them, but you can't just waste time helping other people if you're not helping yourself. It's the whole policy of make sure to put your mask on first.
Exactly.
But now take that idea in a land where you're always just on the cusp of failing. How are you ever going to be able to help anybody else? Think about anybody else.
Yeah, and that's what they teach you too, is that you always have to find your own way kinda in life. That's what it comes kinda down to. I mean, you can listen to people, but you have to you can be shown the door, but you have to go through it.
And a lot of people choose not to. And a lot
No.
of people choose to. And I don't think there's a wrong answer to the question or a wrong answer to the situation. Because it's your
No.
life.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask, what is your opinion on what really happened on 9/11?
That's easy. Everybody knows what happened on 9/11.